now done with our stator assembly, so we're going to put that aside for now. Now we're going to start on our rotor assembly. Now this is the rotor disc, and you notice it has a series of holes here and a hole in the middle, and you also notice it has 6 small little Z-type etched patterns here, which is what we're going to use to guide us in putting our wind pins onto the rotor disc. So let's get our wind pins and take them out of the bag. And we notice the wind pin on the bottom end here has a small round flange to it. So what we first need to do is we need to take a cable clamp and put a cable clamp on one end here pointing towards the left, and another cable clamp on the bottom end pointing towards the right. Mount these cable clamps to the rotor disc with a self-tapping screw and a small number 4 washer. So put the screw through the washer like so. Just line up the hole. And again, finger tight for now. Now do the same with the other 5 wind pins. Alright, this is how it ought to look when it's done. We have all the 6 wind pins here. Make sure the wind pins are pulled all the way out to the very end of their travel. The next thing we're going to do is put the magnets on the other side. So let's flip over our rotor disc and get ready to put the magnets on. The first thing to do before we put the magnets on is to take our tape strips and cut 4 strips about 1/4 of an inch, like so. Take the backing off of each strip, and we're going to arrange these in a square pattern. Let's use one of the wind pins as a guide here. We'll kind of put this in the center here. Take another piece of tape, take the backing off, put it on the opposite side but across from it, and now we'll take the 3rd piece of tape, take the backing off, we'll make it up here at the 12 o'clock position, and the 4th piece of tape, take the backing off, put it about here. What we also want to do now is just take the backing of the tape off of each one of these, because we're going to prepare to put the magnets on. So just take the backing off. Okay, the next thing we want to do now is get the neodymium magnets, the 4 magnets, put the rotor disc aside for a second, and get our marking pen, and let's just put a mark. In this case we're going to do a N mark for north. So we're going to mark this end here as north. Take the entire 4 magnets, turn them over, and mark the bottom one with an S for south. It doesn't really make any difference which is north or which is south, as long as we can know which is which. Now here comes the hard part. These are very powerful magnets, and to take them apart takes some amount of effort. So slide them kind of like this. Make sure you hold the combination up here so that you don't reverse the magnets. Take the north one here, flip it over, and put an S on it for south. Now I'll take the next one in line, mark it with an N for north, take it apart from the rest, move them aside, and remember, always wear your safety glasses when you're doing this. Mark this one with the south. Don't get them close together. Just make sure that they're like 6 or 7 inches apart. Mark the third one with an N for north. Take them apart. Flip it over. Mark this with an N. And then mark the final one with an N as well. Because remember, this was the one at the very bottom with the south. So now we have 2 norths and 2 souths. Now we're ready to put the magnets onto the rotor disc. Alright, here we are with our rotor disc again. Let's grab one of the magnets with the N on it and apply it to the back of the double-sided tape. We want to alternate the magnets, north, south, north, south. Okay, the next step now is to take this hardware, which is a threaded rod, 2 hex nuts with attached star washers, an acorn nut, a rubber washer, and a 1-inch flat washer. And what we want to do is we want to take the threaded rod and on one end screw in a hex nut so that it goes down about 3/4 of an inch from the end, making sure that the star part of the lock washer is facing towards this end. Next, what we want to do is in the back put this through, then screw in the other hex nut, like so. And then, very important, what we want to do here, now that that's screwed in, what we want to do is get our pliers and actually tighten things up here. Alright, that's pretty tight. Okay, now we want to take our wind pins and push them all the way to the very end. And then finally, once they're in the very end, what we want to do for each one of them is we want to tighten each one of these guys down. Our wind pins are now all tightened down, the cable clamps that is are all tightened down, and the wind pins are all kind of touching each other in the center here. Next thing to do is take a rubber washer, apply it to the threaded rod, take the metal flat washer, apply it, and then finally take our acorn nut and apply it as well. And take our pliers and tighten up the acorn nut. So now that we have our wind pins mounted against our rubber washer, what we want to do is add the blades. So we're going to take a blade like this. We're going to then insert the blade through the slot in the wind pin, and these are tight, so we'll have to be very careful about doing this, and push the blade all the way to the very bottom of the wind pin. And as you'll notice, the blade can turn back and forth here. Let's do this for each one of the blades in order. Okay, pushing the blade all the way to the bottom of the wind pin, kind of rotating it around this way. Okay, that about does it for the 6th blade all the way down. So the next thing we want to do is flip everything over like this, and we get our small little washers here, the plastic washers, and put about 5 of them on here. Just loop them over the ends of the threaded rod. These washers are going to separate the magnets from the coil so they don't touch. Grab the assembly by the threaded rod. Make sure that the washers don't fall off. Bring in the tower and the stator assembly, and now let's put the threaded rod through the hole in the center of the stator disc, and then through the hole in the center of the support. And now we're just about there. We can spin the turbine, and we notice that the separation between the magnets and the coils are such that we don't see the magnets or hear the magnets touching the coils at all. Let's take the final acorn nut and put it on the end of our threaded rod, like so. And now we're ready to actually test the turbine out with a fan. Now for the test to see if our wind turbine really works. Make sure for the wind turbine test you have a fan about this size. This is about a 20-inch diameter fan. Don't go with a small little table fan. It'll never work well. Go with something like a 16 to 20-inch diameter fan, and make sure it has a setting control here so you can have variable speeds. So let's take our wind turbine, put it in front of the fan like so, and before you turn anything on, always make sure you wear your safety glasses, because in the event that the blade flies off or something, you don't want to really get hurt. The other thing too is you want to make sure that you have the blades kind of angled so that the wind turbine will turn in a general clockwise direction, and you don't need much tilt on the blades themselves. Just a small little tilt on it, and as you go through each one of the blades, make sure that the tilt is about the same on each one of the blades before you turn anything on. Alright, let's get to the test. Turning our fan on. So that's about it. That's our wind turbine project. Hope yours works out just as well.